Mitchell Stankovic Associates and the Underground Ideas into Action presents The Underground Chats, authentic conversations with credit union thought leaders. Today's chat, Be a Pillar in Your Community, with Todd Lane, President and CEO of California Coast Credit Union.
So, how are you? How's your family? How's the credit union family?
You know, I am doing wonderful. It's been exhilarating, actually. It's been energizing. It's, you know, I really just become energized by what I see in this organization, what I see outside this organization, and it keeps me going. It just really keeps me going. I have not taken a day off in over a year, and I don't feel it. There's no burnout at all. I know some employees are experiencing that, but anyways, I'm loving it, you know. So
I just well, first of all, I love that, and I love the idea that out of chaos comes calm, because we know that there's a mission. We know there's things we have to do. And, you know, it's kind of like that idea that something bad happens and everybody jumps in and they, you know, the super strength kind of thing. So no one other than you, Todd Lane, would be the one that would give me that answer. Yeah.
I don't know about that. I see a lot of my peers here in San Diego, and you know, the California League has been great about making sure we get together on Zoom calls and collaborate on things, and just see some great things going on. You know, certainly here in California with credit unions. And so, you know, I've watched, you know, some of the chats that you've had, Gary Perez and Brett Martinez. And, you know, those are two individuals that I look up to. They're great leaders. And, you know, they seem to have that same energy and you know, same just perspective of thriving, not just surviving during this.
No, I agree. And when I said that, I meant more from the standpoint of just right out front with that. Hey,
Yeah.
But I agree. I think over this last year, the opportunities that I have had, I'm grateful for, because it's provided me a window into how credit unions truly are. Making a difference. And you know, just one additional comment, I also notice, and you know, this is specific to you, but how family is involved as well. And you know, our company has always been about our partners being family, but I think that watching you and your wife and the commitment she's made to the community during this period has been pretty awesome as well.
Yeah, she's doing great stuff. I just marvel at her. Yesterday, she did an interview with the local paper, the Union Tribune here in San Diego. And it was just wonderful watching that interview and her talking about her cause and why she does what she does. And it's just heartwarming to see that, and to to know that our family's doing multiple things, you know, not just credit union things in the community, but a lot of things. And you know, on top of that, she's an elected official now, and so so she's sort of beginning her political career as well. She was elected to the Olivenheim Water District Board of Directors, and I think she was the first non-incumbent to be elected in like 2 decades. And she ran a wonderful campaign. I got to help out a little bit. I actually enjoyed that, you know, going door to door, during a pandemic, dropping off flyers and talking to people outside of their homes. And it was a lot of fun. So she's, of course, a mother to our son, and has this political career now. And then she has her foundation where she's helping out, children that are displaced, that are coming out of homes where there has been domestic violence, and just good stuff. So.
Oh my goodness. So in addition to the energy, I think that the opportunity to make a difference in people's lives is really fascinating. I can't wait to hear your son, when he hits his teenage years and talks about how he was been part of the credit union family forever, So
yeah. I'll be an old man by then, Sue. So I may be retired by then, being an older father, but it's great. He and I actually are going to film a commercial together in a couple of weeks for one of our partners in the community. And he's pretty shy. He's a little nervous about it, but he's up for it. And so we'll see how that goes. But I love being able to do that. Both of my older daughters work in credit unions and in the industry now. And I really didn't get to do those sort of things with them when they were younger. So being an older father, I have that opportunity now. And I love just standing back and watching him and seeing how he is in those sort of environments.
Well, I'll tell you what, I'm not going there on age or what we're doing next. I think that life continues to present opportunities. And so, yes, and I remember when we talked about your daughters, because you've been actively involved with Global Women's Leadership Network and the support in your area and your team support. And we talked a little bit about what students are going through and the empathy that we have for young people, not just young women, but young people in dealing with student loans. And so take me through, you've got an amazing culture. Take me through what's happened with that culture in 2020 and how will it be enhanced as we move forward in 2021?
Yeah, so as I mentioned earlier, during the pandemic, and of course we're still in it, we didn't just survive, we thrived. And because it really clarified for us what our purpose is and living our purpose. And so we lived our purpose and we continue to live our purpose. And we talk about what our purpose is all the time here at the credit union. But on top of that, part of our purpose is to support our employees during good times and during difficult times. And so we took care of our people. That was so important. If you're not taking, I probably don't need to say this, but if you're not taking care of your people, then you're not taking care of your members, or you can't take care of your members. And so we have done many, many things to make sure that we're taking care of our people financially, taking care of them financially, taking care of their family financially, taking care of them mentally. I mean, a lot of mental challenges, a lot of challenges working in a remote environment. And then certainly our frontline staff doing everything we can to protect their health, their safety, their mental well-being, their financial well-being. That was just critical to us because we went into this knowing that we were going to be on a roller coaster in terms of keeping our branch network open. The branch network is an important delivery channel. We often talk about the growth that we have in our digital channels, and it is exponential. It's great. But the branches are still critical. And we think even more critical that they're open and available to our membership, but also open and available to help lead communities. There's a bigger role for credit union branches than just transactions and loans and that sort of thing. It's community leadership. And so we've gained some clarity through the pandemic about their role in the community And I'm just very proud of what we've done. Now, that's not to say that we haven't had to close a branch for a day or two. Like most credit unions, we've had several employees that have, tested COVID positive, and we've had to quarantine them and the people, the coworkers that they've come into contact with. And we've tried to, be as safe as possible. So we've had to close down a branch for a day or so. And then I think, Sue, you're well aware, during the social unrest, we had a branch that was significantly vandalized, and we had to close that down for the better part of 2 weeks to do lots and lots of repairs there. But, it was all hands on deck, and we got it done, and we continued to get it done. And one of the things that we've done is we've drawn on the back office to help out the frontline workers. We have lots of employees that move from the branches into the back office in their career, and we tapped many of them to go back to the branches to help out, whether it's a lobby manager or a teller. And by the way, I have actually worked in the branches. I've been a lobby manager. And believe it or not, we put out there for our entire executive team the opportunity to go through teller training. So wow. I actually, yeah, believe it or not, I completed my teller training just yesterday.
Yeah.
Just yesterday. And, I keep threatening the branches, hey, I'm gonna come be a teller when we need people in our branches. This is how important it is to serve our membership and serve our community. We are not above or beyond doing any role in this organization, including the CEO. So I will admit, Sue, the teller training was hard. I used to be a teller. I started out as a teller at a small credit union here in San Diego on the very same system that we're on today. And I remember, 30 plus years ago, a long time ago, when I was a teller. Of course, I didn't go through any training. They just put you in the branch and you had to shadow somebody and figure it out. But I remember as an 18, 19-year-old having sort of nightmares about these transaction codes that you have to enter to, bring in cash and deposit it in a share account. And so I went through that very training the last couple of days. And I will tell you, the first night after training, I had those same nightmares. They weren't dreams, same nightmares that I had 30 plus years ago about the codes. So still have a little anxiety about it, but I'm going to get out there and help out. And the entire executive team, said, look, whatever we need to do.
Yeah, I've had the opportunity. I've been honored to be part of a couple presentations. I've seen your video that you did for your employees. I really believe that the heart has really come across from your executives, from your whole organization, within the organization, also within the industry, as well as, frankly, within the community. So a couple of follow-up questions to the points you were making. You talked about mental health and how critical that is and how much you've been doing in that arena. I, too, really believe that that's going to be a lingering issue that we'll deal with in 2021. So I want to go there. And then you also mentioned the social unrest and what it took for everybody to come back together or come together and change it. So have you seen a divide in in your members in terms of those that are working, that aren't working, and what's going to happen there? And also go back to the mental health and tell us what you've done in that area.
Yeah. So in terms of our members, we continue to survey them and find out what their financial situation is. Have they lost their job? Have they had hours cut back? Are they no longer getting the overtime? It's important for us to know where they are financially. We follow the economic stats here in San Diego. Our unemployment rate here in San Diego just went up to 8%. It was at 6.6% In November, it went up to 8%. In December, obviously because of the shutdown. And so, all of the programs that we began early on to help out our membership exist today, loan deferments, that sort of thing, emergency loans, and we still get requests and we still track those actively. There's not a lot of use of the loan payment deferment program these days, but what we've done is we've reached out to those members to try and help them as much as possible get through that. And in a lot of communication, a lot of messaging, offering, we have free financial counseling, that sort of thing. So making sure that they know that we are here for them and to help them get through this. And I think many credit unions are doing the same sort of thing, Sue. In terms of our employees and their mental health, I think for a lot, it's just easy to show or give an employee a 800 number to call an employee assistance program that they've paid through their health provider. And that's just not enough. It's not even close to being enough. So, of course, mental health is tied to their financial well-being. It's all tied together. So, so we've done many, many things. And I will tell you, it has been spearheaded by our HR leadership, our HR team. But I say spearheaded. They've really led our efforts, but have engaged everybody, including the executive team, in our efforts to reach out to all of our employees, understand what they are dealing with. Could be financial, it could be something related to the social unrest, to the killing of George Floyd. It could be many, many things. So I think the thing that we have done well is it's reached out to all of our employees to understand where they are, what their family circumstances are. Perhaps they have a spouse that works in the tourism industry, and in San Diego, tourism industry is big, and the service industry is big, and they've lost hours, and so understanding their financial circumstance, understanding what's going on with their family. We've seen a lot of divorce take place, and that's weighed on our employees' mental wellness. Being with their spouse, working from home is not something that everybody can master, Sue. I know you have, but many can't. So again, it's understanding their circumstances first and what they're dealing with, and then reaching out to them with help. Not always complete solutions, but help. And I'll give you one example. And I read about credit unions doing bonuses right now. I read yesterday about a credit union providing a $600 bonus to all employees. We did that pre-holiday, and it wasn't just $600. We have a corporate incentive plan that's based upon metrics, and we didn't meet those metrics this year. Obviously, we grew a lot in deposits, but loan originations have been down. Our ROA net income has been down because we plowed a lot of money into the allowance. But we worked hand in hand with the board. The board was right there in the driver's seat on this. And we decided to pay a corporate pandemic bonus pre-holiday. So it was the week before Thanksgiving. And we did it the old-fashioned way. We had people show up in 2 different locations in parking lots at our facilities. And it was sort of a drive-through. And it gave me an opportunity to talk to every one of our employees and hand them a check. And it was and they all know how to use, remote deposit capture, and we didn't want them going into the branches to deposit the check. But we weren't going to do a direct deposit. We wanted them to touch a paper check and see the amount on there. And our board was there as well. They were out there in the parking lot. Some brought their spouses, and we were chatting with employees. We only allowed them to roll down their window so much, and we were all wearing masks. And once they got their check, they went to the next station and they got a turkey. We gave everybody, it was sort of the old-fashioned turkey giveaway. We bought over 500 turkeys from Costco. I mean, these things were huge. And of course, we got some, for the vegetarians, we got the tofu turkeys. I think they call them tofurkeys, and a basket of vegetables. And it was just great, seeing this go on in our parking lot, lines of cars. We had people out there with signs and cheering, and we, like I said, we did it over a 2-day period. But just the spirit and just the ability to see people that you hadn't seen in 6 months, it was uplifting. But we knew it was temporary. It's a temporary uplift, but it helped them get through the holidays. And so those sorts of activities, we've done wellness fairs, just any way we can connect with the employees on their health and their mental well-being.
Well, and first of all, that was incredibly heartwarming, and it put a new meaning to kind of the drive-through and the whole idea. I mean, how special is that? And then it also puts context around how important it is for you to keep your branches open, and I really believe that your point about member connection and branches is going to be critical as we move forward, because not only the employees, being able to drive through, but we've seen what's happened to all of us with birthday parties being delayed and different things. So the idea of connecting in a branch, and even with the masks and even with all of the protocols that are happening, I think that's incredible. So when you look at 2021, what are your key initiatives? What do you think, both from yourself as well as within the industry? What's going to happen?
Well, I think there's initiatives, and then there's just who we are, our DNA. And so I want to talk maybe a little bit about both of them. In terms of the initiatives, the strategic initiatives, clearly for us, it's digital transformation. We have been on this journey, Sue, of digital transformation for about 3 years now. And what that means for us is not just moving to a different vendor in terms of mobile banking and online banking. We had, in the last month of 2020, we had 3 million distinct logins to our mobile banking platform and online banking platform. Most of it, 2/3 of it, more than 2/3 was in the mobile platform. But it's not just choosing a different vendor, and for us, it's about controlling our own destiny, controlling our own digital channel. And so choosing the right partners to get us there has been important. And then there's a transformation that takes place in the organization, because controlling your own destiny means for us doing different type of work in the technology area. We were all used to being what I call integrators. We would integrate one platform with another. And that's sort of the programming work that we did. And that's great. We still do that. But now we are developers. We are software developers these days. And that's a whole different skill set, requires a different person, a different culture, different partnerships. So for instance, we have a partnership with a nearshore provider. We have developers in Peru. Yeah, and we visited several countries that we looked at, Mexico and Costa Rica and US-based companies there. So we have a nearshore provider of developers as well as developers in-house. So that's a big effort for us, is this digital transformation and everything that means. But ultimately, it's about controlling our own destiny in terms of our digital presence. we all lease or own our own branches and we control what goes on inside the branches. Why shouldn't we do that for every other delivery channel? We do the same for our call center. It's our people in the call center. It's our, we partner on the terms of the technology, but we need to control that digital channel as well. So that's a big part of it. Another strategic effort in 2021 is, we've seen a little bit of drop off in core lending. It's natural, less cars are being sold by dealerships, and when they are, it's very competitive in terms of their financing and their incentives that they're providing. So, auto lending is core for us. So we continue to focus on our lending platforms and our lending programs. And specifically, we're paying a lot of attention to business lending these days. We historically have done commercial real estate lending, multifamily properties, but we're also getting into business lines of credit, small business lending. So that's becoming more and more of a focus for us.
Let me ask a question on that before we go on. Here we are in an environment where we see this uncertainty when it comes to businesses and what's going to happen. Do you see that as also part of your culture, the community culture, and working with your people? Is that
absolutely, yeah. Sue? And that's sort of, I was going to get to that in the kind of what our DNA is. But absolutely, and in fact, during 2020. I think we stood out in the community in terms of helping our small businesses. And it actually started at the very beginning of the pandemic. The mayor of San Diego at the time, we have a new mayor since November, but the mayor at that time was Kevin Faulkner. And we partnered with the city of San Diego and in a small business lending program. And we used our foundation, by the way, as the recipient of the funds. So we used that as the bank account for all the contributions that came in for this program that we worked with the city of San Diego in conceiving. But it was basic. And by the way, we provided $100,000 of original seed money with a couple of big organizations. One was Qualcomm and the other one was GoFundMe. By the way, GoFundMe is our neighbor right here in the next building over. Yeah. And so the three of us provided the seed money for the city of San Diego and then brought in contributions from all over the country. And it was specifically to help small businesses, and there were specific requirements. We did that very early on. That was sort of the first step. Then we decided to partner with the Central San Diego Black Business Chamber. Clearly, Sue, there is a great disparity in small business lending in our communities across the country. And for instance, the ability of minority-owned small businesses and their access to PPP funding has been less than that of Caucasian-owned small businesses. And in fact, I was just presenting on a DEI panel yesterday evening. The disparity is huge. And so we wanted to help in. So we partnered with the Central San Diego Black Business Chamber, as did other organizations. We weren't the only one, in providing money to our Black owned small businesses. We're very much a believer in creating generational wealth in our communities, and we think that's best accomplished through our small businesses. And by the way, we didn't stop there. We've rolled out a emergency loan program also for small businesses. Now, all small businesses can access this. All of our members can. But we have partnered with, again, the Central San Diego Black Business Chamber, the Asian Business Association, and the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. So collectively, they're called the Ethnic Chambers of Commerce here in San Diego. So And they're simply a conduit to our small businesses in the community. And so there is most definitely a focus on small businesses. It's very much integrated with our diversity, equity, and inclusion culture and DNA here at the credit union.
So I just want to reinforce I think that you're aware that I have the opportunity to be on the governing body with Mitchell Stankovic and arguing with the whole system. And the idea behind it for me, one of the key components is for us to actually implement solutions. So I love the idea, and I just want to reinforce for everybody that finding those community partners and what you said there, the ethnic collective is fabulous. I mean, because who better than groups that are meeting the needs within the community? That's really exciting news.
Absolutely. And in 2021, with our partnership with the city of San Diego, we are working with them on small businesses, providing assistance to small businesses in the Promise Zone. So in the Promise Zone here in San Diego, I think it's 6.7 square miles of our, it's low income communities in San Diego, primarily communities of color. And so we are working with them on, how to help the business community in that Promise Zone. We're still working on the details. Originally we were looking at like storefront development, making sure that they had the funds to make sure their storefront was attractive, up to date, safe, all of the things that business, you don't think about it, but the storefront of a business is important, and especially in low income communities. That was one idea we're working on, but we're working on several things with the city of San Diego to do it. This is not just a one and done for us. It's again, who we are, very, very important. And I can talk a little bit more about our whole DEI effort, but I wanted to sort of get back to strategic, projects for 2021. The other one that's very big, and it came up during 2020, was we call it a paperless project. So we are looking at all of our processes that are manual in nature, specifically with an eye on those in the branch, the branch network, branch delivery channel, because we don't want members unnecessarily spending extra time in the branches, filling out paperwork, doing things that they could either do on the mobile device or do via email, just to keep them safe and reduce the branch traffic and the time people are in branches. And that's been a big effort. We've made some great progress. You go into any of our branches now, and if you want to open up a new account, say you're a new member, you've been referred to us. We have the QR codes, which everybody is now used to using. You just take your cell phone, you snap that QR code, you begin the process electronically right there. It's really quick. And then you migrate to a PFR, an account rep that will help you complete the process, or you can leave the branch and we'll complete the rest of the process through the call center or electronically, that sort of thing. But it really reduces the amount of time. And who thought we were going to use QR codes again? But hey, all the restaurants are using them now with menus. You don't want to have to touch menus and that sort of thing. So we have these stickers everywhere with QR codes and so stuff like that.
I was just thinking that you are such a compassionate soul, and I can see the DNA. And then you're also a geek, and I mean that in the most loving terms. As you were going through that, I literally was visualizing and clicking and looking at the codes, and that was fabulous. And when you were talking about technology, it was really good too. So, okay, so Tom Peters, some time ago talked about blinding flashes of the obvious, the whole BFOs, like what was in front of our face that we could do more with. Do you have a couple you could share, or one that comes to mind?
Yeah. So, it gets back to what I was talking about earlier, Sue. Credit unions, they live and they work with purpose. And I get that, but I think it means more than perhaps we all realize. Credit unions are a pillar of a community, and they're not just a branch. They're not just a building. And so that for me is just obvious for credit unions, and to understand that and to live that is, I think, just obvious. I think it's an obvious win for credit unions, but I just hope all of us realize how important we can be if we choose to be in our communities and helping them. There are so many ways we can help our communities. And, for us, it's one of our pillars. We have 4 pillars at this credit union. That's one. It's just as important as the financial performance of this credit union. We have metrics based upon how we serve the community and how we are a pillar in that community, that we matter in that community. And so that's one thing that's important. And then I think the other thing is our role in advocacy has historically been strong, but we also rely, as we should, on our national trade associations and our state trade associations. They do a wonderful job, but we have I think a bigger role than perhaps we all realize, and that is to build those relationships locally. And I guess it goes along with being a pillar in the community, but building those relationships locally, sort of hand in hand with your state leagues, and making a difference. We are very active, as you know, Sue, in San Diego with that. Not just this credit union, California Coast, but a lot of credit unions are here, and it's important because local politicians, local representatives have aspirations to be, to work at the state level, to work at the federal level. And sometimes it's too late to build that relationship once they're running for a state office or federal office. We build it long before then. So those are the 2 things that I think make a difference, that are necessarily obvious to all of us. And there's just so much more we can do. And it's a journey. We're on that journey. We haven't reached our goals yet in either of those 2 areas.
Yeah, and I think it ties back to what you said, and that's that this is a journey that the destination will continue to evolve. So good for you.
Yeah. Hey, Sue, one more thing I want to mention, and I said this yesterday, and it just came out of my mouth. I was on a DEI panel, and great leaders in the community. There were 4 of us, CEOs, different. I was the only credit union person there. And it was hosted by a executive leadership organization, also based here in San Diego. But we were talking about DEI in our organizations. And one of the things that I said was, DEI is not, diversity, equity, inclusion is not strategy. It's not a strategic project. It's your DNA. It's your culture. That's what you need to make it. Now, that doesn't mean you shouldn't have a plan. We have a plan. We have a 5-year plan with all these actions, all these things that we're going to do. But it's not a strategy. It's who you are, or it's who you're not. And I think that's another obvious thing, as a lot of credit unions are embracing diversity, equity, and inclusion. It's not event-based. It's not driven by one single event like the killing of George Floyd. And, it's driven from within. And so that's also something that I think is pretty obvious, or should be obvious to us all.
It also gives me hope, because I believe it is part of our DNA, and I think it's shown up for us on a, standing up over the years. And you and I both got in trouble at different times for doing that. But the reality is, we raise our hands, we stand up. And it's also the idea that it can't just be event driven. The focus in certainly emotionally drive us, and we become champions and we advocate, but I really believe that it has to be systemic and it has to be ongoing. So that's great. So are those your ideas into action for us as well, or do you have anything else you want to add?
Well, the only thing I would add, and I think one of your prior interviews said the same thing, so he stole my material, but he was first, so maybe I'm stealing his. And that is, do it now. Don't wait. There's nothing. What are we waiting on? Do it now. Be quick. And it was Gary Perez talking about his support for his historic Black colleges and universities. And, he talked about just doing it now. Be quick. And I totally subscribe to that. Now, I'm all about collaboration. I work in a cooperative. I worked at a corporate credit union, so it's all about collaboration. But sometimes you just got to do it and let others tag on and follow and be a part of it, and welcome that. But get off the starting line and just do it. And that's how I feel about a lot of things.
I do too, and I feel that sometimes it's all about asking for forgiveness rather than permission. And so, us pushing forward on initiatives, when it comes from the DNA, when it comes from the heart, I really believe, I think that you probably have seen, but we were supportive over the last couple of years of building education awareness around the LGBTQ plus community. And this year in 2020, we launched CU Pride, the founders, and put that together. So now that's part of the DEI collective. And I really believe that all of us have made a difference in when we use our voices. And Todd, you know how I feel about your voice. And I mean, we haven't had the opportunity, it's been busy, so we haven't had an opportunity to catch up, but you have a special place. So I appreciate what you're doing, and I'm so excited to have you tell your story.
Thank you for that, Sue. And I appreciate your voice. You make sure that we are heard, and that's an important thing. And if people aren't listening, you make sure that they listen. So those are, just so critical in our industry. It's all about collaboration and sharing of ideas. And, we want to leave this credit union because we all know that we're limited in our amount of time on this planet, and certainly in our professions. And we talk all the time about what's our legacy, and in part what we're, how we're behaving, how we're acting during the pandemic is going to be a big part of our legacy. But there's more than that. And, serving our communities, the things that we've talked about, DEI, that's our legacy as well. And that's going to be remembered more than whether or not we did $810 million in loans last year or $710 million, whatever the number is. They're not going to remember that. Whether our ROA is 100 basis points or 85, nobody's going to remember that 10 years from now, 15 years from now, but they're going to remember what we did in our communities and how we uplifted people in our communities.
100%. And that CFO in you came out right there, and I had to smile. But I was also thinking that I've got a new word in my vocabulary: tofu turkeys. Tofu turkey. I love that. I mean, that to me it's one of the stories that your team will share at Thanksgiving, probably for the rest of their lives. It'll be the kids hearing it, then it'll be the grandkids hearing it, and it'll be, oh my God, grandma's bringing up that turkey drive-by again. But those are the generational stories, Todd, that you created. So, congratulations on that. And I look forward to us connecting in 2021, and hopefully we can do it in person sometime soon.
I look forward to it too. I missed that. It was actually about a year ago. Well, maybe a little less than a year ago. We got on a plane to go back to GAC and go back to your wonderful conference that you have every year there. So I've actually only been out of the county twice since that time by car. Haven't been on a plane. So I'm looking forward to it.
Well, I was going to comment earlier when you said that about all of us being grounded. It's interesting, as you know, I've traveled my entire career. So I have been with my husband, Michael, more in the last, since we came back from DC, than I have probably in our, numerous years of marriage. And one of the exciting things that we did this year is we took our office back and we remodeled it in February of last year. And so when this all hit, everybody has an office and we're all like really spread out. So it gives us a chance to have a little bit of that. But I do believe that what you said about 2020 brought out the character of who we are, but it's there. It's part of the DNA. So, all right.
Thanks,
Thank
guys.
you, my friend.